Let's then move to run-ons. So again, we know that a run-on is not a sentence that just goes on and on and on. It doesn't matter the length. What it is it's a sentence that has a subject and a verb or two independent clauses without any punctuation to separate them. Okay, so we need to end one sentence before moving on to the next, or we need to combine those sentences. So let's look at an example here. I bought a Taylor Swift CD. It was awful. Okay, so we want to look for that subject and verb. I bought. So we have a subject and verb. Then we have another subject and verb. It was. Okay, so we have two sentences put together, no punctuation between them. That's what makes it a run-on. So run-ons can be extremely short. So again, it's not the length, it's whether we have two independent clauses together or two complete sentences together without punctuation. Children don't understand why they have to go to bed early on a school night. Parents know why. Okay, so again, we look at this subject and verb. Children do understand. So not is not going to be a verb. So the verb is actually do understand. And then we get a new subject and verb much later in the sentence. Parents know. Okay, so because we have two sentences there or two independent clauses, we need some type of punctuation in between. Make sure you do your homework. It is important. Okay, this is the same thing. We want to look at that subject, you, and then what are we doing? We're using an imperative sentence or a command. So you make, okay, so make is that verb. Then we get another subject and verb here. It is. Because we have them together with no punctuation, we have a run-on. While we know that a run-on needs that punctuation in between the two independent clauses, we cannot use a comma. So when we use a comma, we end up with what's called a comma splice. That's when we are combining two complete sentences and separating them with a comma. That's not the job of a comma. That's the job of a period or a semicolon, or we'll look at coordinating conjunctions. But we can't separate sentences with a comma. So we can't fix all of our run-ons just by adding a comma here. We actually have to either use a period, semicolon, or coordinating conjunction. So we end up fixing run-ons the same ways that we would fix a comma splice. But I do want you to know that you cannot separate sentences using that comma. So we're going to fix them the same way, a period, semicolon, or coordinating conjunction. Now, why might we choose to use whichever one? Think of a period as giving this much space in between our sentences. A semicolon is going to give less space, and it's going to show some type of relationship between those sentences. A coordinating conjunction gives even less space, and it directly shows that relationship. Why we might use a semicolon or a coordinating conjunction is especially if we're doing sentence combining, where we don't want those short, choppy sentences. So we'll end up using either a semicolon or a coordinating conjunction to combine them. Let's look at an example. I bought a Taylor Swift CD, period. It was awful, period. So now I've made them into two independent clauses, two complete sentences. I separated them with a period. Now the punctuation is fine, and we don't have a comma splice or a run-on anymore. The next one, children don't understand why they have to go to bed early on a school night. However, parents know why. Now, it is important to know that because I use that semicolon, I'm usually going to use some type of transition word, like however, or after, or meanwhile. Something that shows a relationship between those sentences. Additionally is one that I might use. Okay, so we usually don't just separate sentences with a semicolon. we usually add some type of transition word there. So it's showing a connection between those sentences. Now, in the coordinate conjunction, we get a direct connection. Make sure you do your homework, for it is important. So we're seeing a cause and effect, or we're seeing some type of relationship with that word for. Okay, so again, our coordinate conjunctions, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Now I have to be careful which one I use, because I don't want to say, make sure you do your homework, but it is important. Or make sure you do your homework, yet it is important. I want to make sure I'm using the right coordinate conjunction to show the correct relationship between the first independent clause and the second independent clause.